Welcome to another edition of One More Light with me, Val Kleinhans, where we chat about breaking the stigma that comes along with mental health. Rachel Brooks is in the building today. She's one of my favorite content creators on Instagram. She shares little moments of her own wellness journey, and she believes in wellness for the artistic soul. I definitely want to find out more about that. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Val. I'm so happy to be here.
I love it. I love the fact that art is the center of your life, or at least that's how it looks to me. When
And
did
it's
art
100% true.
Probably. When did your love of art take hold?
Oh, it was really early on in life. I've found myself with passions in different artistic fields. I started out drawing dresses and baby dolls, and my parents had probably held on to everything I've ever drawn with my hand. There's boxes and boxes. But then slowly it turned into a love of music. And that's kind of where I find myself, where
Ah.
my real true career is in musical theater. So I
Mhm.
have been singing, dancing, acting, playing guitar my whole life. And my dad is a huge fan of music. And then that brought me to musical theater school. I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City for college. And now I am a musical theater educator while also being a content creator, which is finding a new realm of art that I love, which is photography.
Yeah. So she's not busy. She's not busy at all.
Not at all.
Well, so musical theater, there's a love hate thing that kind of comes with that. Some people love it, some people it's not their thing. You don't really care. You're like, this is my thing. What made it your thing? What gravitated you toward that?
Yeah, honestly, it was a way for me to put all of my passions into one because I could
Mm.
sing, dance, and act on stage all together. I do love doing straight plays too, which is, it's primarily acting, but I find myself loving a musical because I can explore every avenue of this artistic field in song, in dance, in movement, and create a story that way because I love storytelling. And that's really what theater is at the end of the day.
It really is. That's absolutely true. I used to do it too, just because I thought, I call myself somewhat of a creative person anyway. And
Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun to play around. It's fun to put yourself in the mode of a different character from time to time just to get like out of your own head. I don't know. The
absolutely.
last time I did a play was The Wizard of Oz and they gave me Scarecrow. So
Oh,
that made
funny enough,
sense.
I'm directing Wizard of Oz in July.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love
I
it. I love it.
I know when they gave me that part, I was like, I don't know if I should take it as a compliment or if
Scarecrow
I
is
should
a
be.
fabulous role. I think
You
you
see,
should definitely take that as a compliment.
it was a lot of fun to do. And then
Yeah,
it definitely inspired me to be more comfortable in front of an audience, be more comfortable on camera, and just things that I never thought about beforehand. I didn't have like a desire to learn those types of things beforehand. I just wanted to play dress up and just kind of act and do things and create stories, just like you're talking about.
absolutely. That's a huge part with theater that is so much beyond what you see on stage. Like a final product, and I know this is so true in every creative space, but the final product is just the tip of the iceberg of what you see.
Yeah.
The underneath the water, you are learning how to be problem solvers, how to work as a team, how to, like you said, confidence in just in yourself and in your body. And you learn, so I that's why I love to be an educator for theater, is just you learn so much more than just let me memorize lines and little dance moves.
It, it is more than that. Moving to
Absolutely.
moving to Denver, excuse me, moving to Denver has been incredibly therapeutic for you. It looks like. So, what is it about moving somewhere else that you think unlocks different sides of who you are? Because I've been through this too. I've been through like two moves in the last 5 years.
I can't attribute my move to Denver more in the betterment of my mental health, like you're saying. We moved to Denver because primarily the art scene and the creative
Mm.
scene here is just it's booming compared to Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is where I'm from originally and where I spent my whole life except for college. I just looked around me and thought, this is not sustainable how I'm living my creative life here because I had to work a 9 to 5 to support
Mm.
the fact that I could go direct, be in shows. And, I started this photography content creating thing a little bit when I was in Wisconsin, and I was drained. I couldn't sustain my life there anymore. And my husband was like, we got to go. We got to get out of here. We got to find a better place for us. Yeah, because, and being here, I don't have to work a corporate 9 to 5 anymore. I can primarily sustain myself off of my creative passions, which is like, what could be better than that?
Yeah.
And having that freedom has been the biggest game changer for me and my mental health, my
Yeah.
mental wellness.
Yeah. Does it sound like your husband agrees with that? Or I mean, he went along with it, so I'm assuming he was ready to bounce as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's really funny because when we first started dating, Steven was like, "I'm never leaving Wisconsin." And we almost broke up because of it. And I was like,
No.
yeah, we like actually had like I had an ultimatum in 1 year. If you still feel this way, I think we're gonna have to cut ties because I do not see myself living a future in Wisconsin anymore. And
Okay.
through that year, we really talked about what a life outside of Wisconsin would look like because we went to the same high school. We grew up in the same town and we yeah, literally
Why do we have the same life? Because mine, I met in 11th grade English. And then we left Pittsburgh and then came to Illinois and now we're in Minnesota. And
oh,
we made those moves
choices
together.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole
I
time.
I was just saying to Steven last night, my husband is Steven, and I was just saying to him last night about our podcast and talking about creative mental health and stuff. And I said, part of it is because you were so supportive for me and finding someone, if it's yourself or a partner or a friend or a parent or someone who you can just lay everything down on and be like, I can't live like this anymore. Can
Yeah.
you help me solve this problem? And having
Mm,
that person to help you solve that problem, if it's yourself, that's amazing. For me, it couldn't be myself anymore. I was just at my wit's end trying to solve problem after problem. And I needed someone else to come in and say, we need to make a huge change. And
yeah.
that's going to really help us explore new avenues and new opportunities in ourselves.
Yeah. I know anybody that's single and listening to this is probably like, well, how did you find that unicorn of a person that is that is willing to do those things with you? I think I have my own answer to this, but what do you think it takes to find somebody that's supportive in your life?
It's funny finding some I think the most important thing is finding someone who wants to grow because
Mm,
that was like when Steven and I got married, my vows were like, we weren't soulmates right from the start. Let me tell you, like, we were not even close to soulmates, but we are now, I consider us soulmates because we grew together to become
mm,
that for one another. So I say, if you're single and listening to this and you're like, how do I find someone? Look for someone who wants to learn and grow because
yeah.
that is so important in a relationship. You have to mold to one another a little bit while still holding on to yourself and while still being grounded in who you are, but you have to make room for somebody else to support you. And I think
Yeah.
that was a huge thing with Steven is he's one of the most intellectual people I know who always wants to learn something new.
Ah, got it. Okay, so that explains the whole putting the computer together on our own thing.
Yeah. Oh my
See, I
gosh.
my husband's similar. He is very
Yeah.
similar. He does like to learn. He constantly wants to, especially philosophy and history. Like that's his thing.
Okay,
And
cool.
he loves to find out more information on that. But I mean, when it came down to, hey, I'm realizing I've got to move for a job and I think I want to take this. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'd like you to come with me. That's kind of how I presented it to him. I kind
Okay.
of I made it his choice because I'm not going to hold
Yeah.
a gun to his head.
Oh,
He
absolutely not. And
because
if you resent someone for moving you, that's just a bad way to start a relationship.
no. So I just flat out said, like, I want to go. I hope you'll come with me. At this point, it's up to you. And if I hope you go, I hope we'll do it engaged. that
Oh,
so that's and then a couple months later, there it was, and you just need somebody that wants to be willing to work on it. You need somebody that cares, like, and that's
oh,
not easy to
care.
find.
No, it's not. That it's it care and support and just to be there, a person, a soundboard. See, I consider Steven my partner in all creative aspects because he's my soundboard. He's my person. I go, which picture looks better for me to post
You-
today? But it does. Like you need that person just to and it can be silly things like that, or it can be really deep things like I want to move. I have this opportunity. Will you come with me?
yeah. He's also like your set director. He
Oh
helps
yeah,
you like
he's
organize
my
things.
photographer. I know this poor boy who, has a degree in IT network systems administration. I literally put my camera phone in his hand one day and was like, "Can you take a picture of me?" And since then, that he
It
has worked
starts from
so
there.
hard on photography. And that's the other thing. He didn't have any hopes and dreams of being a photographer, and now people are asking him to take their photos. Like, it's just learning and growing and being a person who's open to that kind of stuff and open-minded.
Yeah. You're a big believer in unlocking your creative side and embracing that. I don't know that we are able to do this without being willing to experiment. And sometimes that's intimidating for people at first. They hear the word experiment and they're like, "Screw, I don't know if I'm all about that. Like that seems scary. I don't know if I want to go forward with that." How what advice would you give to somebody who maybe isn't quite comfortable experimenting yet, but you understand the importance of this, so you want to encourage them to do this? What would you say?
I would say small steps are still steps. Even you do not have to experiment 100% fully and go crazy every single time as your first time. I was just talking to one of my creator friends about this, but every step as a step, and even if
Mm,
it's a tiny one, like experimenting with your makeup that day, experimenting with your hair that day, look your
yes.
outfit that day. It doesn't have to be all three things at once. That can get intimidating and scary, like you said, and embracing that every little change, every little time you put yourself out there in a new way, you should congratulate yourself after every single time, because that does take a lot of courage, and it shows you being brave. And every time you do this, also realizing that you are growing and you are
Yeah.
becoming closer to your truer self through all of this experimentation. You are finding your most creative, your most artistic, your who you are to your core, and that can't be more inspiring. I don't think so. Like, finding
No.
who you are is so inspiring, and creating yourself. It's not even finding, it's creating yourself.
It's a muscle that you flex, and it
Oh,
takes
I love that.
constant
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
absolutely. And how do you get stronger?
By
By
working out,
doing, yeah, absolutely.
doing the thing. Why do you think embracing your creativity has been so helpful for you when it comes to staying well?
Yeah. I think when I think about who I used to be and the goals and aspirations I used to have, I was working 9 to 5. I was a co-manager at a retail store, and I
Oh, God bless you.
yeah,
Woo!
and I it'll be 11 years. I'm still with that store today. It'll be 11
Oh,
years in July. I
wow.
work part-time, obviously, super part-time now, but I was there 40 hours a week, and I actually wanted to be a district manager. I wanted to do this my whole life. I wanted to put theater on the back burner and say, this is stable. This is a stable career. This is something that I can sustain myself and my family and whatever and make good money doing. But I realized when I was hitting my head against a wall and crying in my bathroom every weekend because
Oh,
I couldn't sustain that life. I couldn't work 40 hours a week and then have theater be a fun little thing that I maybe get to do on the weekends or maybe get to do. And I really took a deep dive into myself and said, what makes me happy? Because it's
mm,
clearly not this. I can't tell you how many nights, I was in the bathroom crying, and Steven would just be at the door like, it's okay, we're going to figure it out. We'll make it work. Just the supportiveness. And I had to really do some internal work though and say, this is not what I want with my life. I looked
yeah.
around and said, I can't do this for 5 more years. And so when I broke it down and said what makes me feel best, it was theater and being creative and being artistic and being myself, not fitting in a bubble of a corporate world where I had to come in at 7:30 and do floor set and then sell to customers for the next 8 hours and then punch out and go home. That's not
Yeah.
me. But it took a lot of internal work to figure out that sometimes stability isn't worth it.
Right.
Sometimes finding what you're passionate about is 100 times more worth it.
Yeah. Shout out to Steven. Shout out to those supportive partners. Like honestly,
Like,
and
honestly.
it's hard for them because I mean it's hard for them. They don't want to see you upset. mine saw me upset. Mine saw me do the outpatient therapy, and it wasn't until like I learned those mindfulness skills and just wait like deep breathing, just things to kind of center
Yeah.
yourself so you're in the position to do what you're talking about and take that deep dive and ask
Yes.
those important questions. Like I feel bad because our partners sometimes sit there and they go, "Oh, I don't know how to help with this. I don't know what to do with this. There's no playbook for this." And there's not. There
There's
really
not.
isn't. There's not enough resources out there, I don't think,
No.
for loved
No,
ones and support.
I
Mm,
agree with that. Being a supportive partner is make or break it to a lot of relationships and a lot of humans. It's just relationships are just so critical to ourselves as humans that
yeah,
you're right. We need more we need more resources for those people who do provide that support.
because 'cause they're clueless. They I
Yeah.
mean, clueless in the sense that they're left without any instruction. They
And
have they wanna be there, but they don't there's nobody really telling them how. Like, when I did an outpatient program, there was a family day where, like,
sure.
spouses or family members, loved ones, they could be there, and essentially all that was, according to him, was, these therapists that we've been working with, they were more so telling them what we were doing in the program. They
Mhm.
weren't really answering the
Helping.
questions of how do I help
Yeah.
that person best. That I wish we could work on.
It's all learning on the job,
Yeah.
like, it's all that's how you have to learn, and it is different for every person, but you're so right, we need, like, how to find that right balance between being supportive, being pushing, being loving and coddling, it's a lot. You're so right on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. If any partner is listening to this and wondering what do I do? I've got somebody in the same situation. I don't know. I'll speak for myself here and say the best thing that my husband did was just sit and listen and validate what I was going through. That was it. That was really sometimes that was just all you needed. Um
Absolutely, I can't agree more with it. It's really the listening portion and providing. If when asked questions, answering questions, like, "What do you think?" And having
mhm.
it doesn't have to be a 3-paragraph answer, but just really having honest conversations between honesty and conversations have been a huge portion of how Stephen and I have learned to grow and support one another is by
Yeah.
asking questions. "How can I help you? How can I do better next time?"
Yeah, because you're the way you communicate changes, your schedules change, your needs change along honestly, your needs
Yeah,
change
you're so right.
along with that as you're growing together, as you're including or maybe getting rid of things in your life, because things change. It's
Oh,
normal. So
and
there
like
needs to be constant conversations about that.
absolutely. Constant conversations, I love that.
Yeah. I love that you share affirmations with your followers from time to time too. I saw a couple of those. Which is your favorite affirmation to use when you're just like, I'm having a not great day?
I kinda go 3 and they're really short ones. One is I am enough. That is
Mm,
100% time and time again, and I actually teach my students affirmations too during theatrical performance, and then when I'm directing, we do affirmations at the start of the day, and that's the one we
wow.
always do is, "I am enough," because no matter what I do today, it's only gonna put a little sprinkle on me. That's all. I'm already a cake. I'm already perfect. I am enough. Yeah, no, seriously, we do that. And
Yes.
then the second one is everything's temporary.
Mhm.
Whatever I'm feeling is temporary. How this situation's impacting me is temporary. This challenge is temporary and everything I'll get through it. I know I will because I've done it before.
Mhm.
And then the last thing is the best part of life is me learning. 'Cause
Ooh,
I
good.
love I love to I'm such a person who loves to learn and loves to grow and loves to explore, and I think that only helps me become more me and create more me by more I know. And then also knowing that I don't know everything and that there is so much still to learn and being excited and inspired by that rather than dismotivated by it.
Yeah, we're terrified of that. We're terrified of being the person that doesn't have the answers because the rest of the world looks at us and goes, "Solve this and solve it now." And it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with this. What do I do?
Yeah, absolutely, and knowing that that's okay. Knowing it's
Yeah.
okay not to have all the answers because no matter what you're seeing on social media or what you're seeing on TikTok when you scroll, nobody has all the answers.
No,
Nobody
not
does. Yeah.
immediately. Not
No,
immediately. Sometimes
absolutely.
sometimes it does take a little bit of research. Like even at work, that's one of the things that I'll feel bad about at work is if I can't be as responsive, or is it if I can't answer something for someone who's looking for an answer right away. Like I would love to be that person that could just sit back and go, "Meh, I'm not going to follow up for
Be
2 or
Chat
3 or 4
GPT or
days."
whatever,
Yeah.
like
Like
type it. Yeah.
or I'm just going to sit and ignore this for 3 days, and I'm not going to feel bad about people saying, "Hey, just checking in." Like that's not me. I'm the
No,
kind of person that
not me either.
tries. Yeah, I'm the kind of person that will at least say, "I don't know right now, but I'll do what I can to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Let me give me a minute and I'll come back to you." Like I've learned to use that as kind of a tool to help
Oh,
myself
it's a great
and
tool.
to help the people that are looking for something from me for
Mhm.
whatever reason. Because then it lets them know, you know what, I got you, I hear you, but not right now.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Give me a minute, let me do the work I need to do to help you, to be
Yeah.
a problem solver for you. And I think that like I have when I work in my theater job, I have a boss who is like the most human boss I've ever had, who is
Oh,
like, I
good.
messed up. I messed up, y'all. Here, yeah. Or
I
like,
would love to hear
oh,
that from a boss. Oh my
I
God.
love my boss. And that's another thing, with the corporate world, it was like there's a yes and a no, there's a black and a white. Whereas in these creative spaces,
There's
you
not.
mess up, you're gonna
Yeah.
fail, you're gonna mess up. And that's and embracing that and being like aware of it, but also being honest about it is a huge portion. And while you're saying that, Val, you're also making other people feel okay for not knowing the answer either.
Yeah, well, that's true. It does. That's why I believe in transparency as well. I believe
Yes.
in, you know what? I don't have it figured out all right now. I'll let you know that I don't have it figured out, and then maybe you'll learn from this. Maybe you won't. But at least we're on a similar
Same page.
level of communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that.
Well, so what's next for you? What can we look forward to coming from you moving forward?
Yeah, so exciting projects in my theater life. I have a couple of shows coming up this summer. I'm directing Wizard of Oz, and I'm choreographing Newsies, Descendants, and Cinderella in the next 3-4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, summers are crazy for me, but I love it. As far as content creating and that side of things, I actually have some exciting news that me and my content creator friend. This will be much more public on my page in the next couple weeks. But we're actually starting a podcast for content creators
There we
called
go.
yeah, called The Creatives Chaos. So we are
It is
talking about,
chaos. That's a good
yeah, the
name.
creators chaos. And it's talking about, the chaos that happens in our brain and bringing it out and having transparent conversations about it.
Mm.
And we're coming at it from not being coaches. We're just creators like you. We're not, it's not a classroom, it's a living room to have a nice chat about really dishing what's happening in the creative world. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. Besides that, lots of creative photography coming up. We're having a content road trip tomorrow to the paint mines. So we're going to be taking some really cool editorial shoots there and just living the best artistic summer that's possible because I am so ready for the warmer weather.
Oh, girl, coming from Wisconsin, and I'm in Minnesota and I've been there, like
Oh,
it's hard out here. Like we just started to have tolerable weather is the word I'll use for it about a month ago.
oh,
About a month ago is when
I
it just
don't miss Midwest winter
oh,
whatsoever. Like my kids are always like, it's so cold. And I'm like, guys, it is 50 degrees out. This is gorgeous. This is
you don't understand.
gorgeous.
They don't know. They're not
Nothing.
they're not putting Halloween costumes and snowshoes like snowsuits over the costumes
Seriously, or
while
like
they're out.
putting your mittens in your jacket to make sure that you
Yeah.
don't lose your mittens because you will freeze if you walk
'Cause
outside without mittens.
yeah, the weather does not play. I learned that for sure. Because in
No.
Pittsburgh, where I came from Pittsburgh originally, and
Yeah.
the wind chill is not a thing. Like it's not because there's hills that protect us from that.
Yeah.
So when I first moved to Illinois, I was like, oh my God, how do
Gosh.
people tolerate
The
like
Windy City, Illinois. Yeah, absolutely.
oh well, I was 2 hours outside of Chicago. So
Sure.
it
It's
was the plains, like the
yeah.
plains.
In
Nothing.
that lake breeze, ooh, it cuts like a knife.
In the winter, in the winter it does, and then just in general, like I'd be walking through the parking lot on the phone with my brother, and he'd be like, "What is that noise?" I'm like, "That's just the wind, dude.
Yep,
That's the
absolutely.
wind's gonna wind. It's just what it
The wind
does."
is gonna win. Absolutely. Love that.
Well, the
I feel like
podcast
that should be on a t-shirt. The wind is gonna
wind's
win.
gonna win. Wind's gonna win. Yeah. Anybody that knows, they know what that means. It's just gonna win. It's just gonna
It's
do what
gonna
it
win.
does. That like that's how I base my content creation day sometimes. I swear to God. Like,
Oh,
is this
absolutely.
tripod safe? Is this tripod?
You don't even know the amount of times that has happened to me where my
Yeah,
equipment just falls and I'm like,
I know.
well, maybe this is a sign.
Let's call it and then try again tomorrow or like
Absolutely. Knowing when to get out of there sometimes is a really good skill to have.
oh my God. I can't wait for everything else to come. I can't wait for the podcast. It's going to be refreshing to hear a podcast done by another creator and not a
Yeah.
coach. I love coaches. They've got great tips, but sometimes it's good to just hear somebody that's doing something more in line with what you're doing, if
Yeah,
that makes any
and
sense.
absolutely, and can connect with you on that way. Like we're not making a living off of telling you what to do. We're literally in the trenches with you, trying to find brand partnerships, trying to create content, trying to get on every social media platform. Like we get it and we're in the struggle with you. So we're really excited about that and to be approaching it more as like besties, having a wine and cheese night rather than let's take notes.
Let's take yeah, we take notes all week. Skirt.
Absolutely.
Uh,
We just want to dish sometimes and like have a good conversation and learn and be inspired by it.
Facts. Never be afraid to experiment, embrace the creative person you are. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you so much.